Hi, I'm Phil from PicoKit. Today we're going to look at the switch tool. Now there's a few other lessons that we've done with the PicoDice, so make sure you catch up on those other lessons because we'll reference to what we've already done. So first of all, we're looking at the subroutine, and each time these subroutines are called, it's going to go down to the header, the start header, and then it's going to carry out what's happening in there. But from last lesson, we weren't actually looking at a switch. So let's go back there and see what was happening with the delay tool. Okay, so there's our 0.2 second delay. And that means if we program it, it's actually going to just switch between the lights. And so there's a LED sequence that it's using with the delay. And one thing we could do there was change the value. So it updated at a different timing. Nice and easily, one value to change, and each subtool calls that delay tool. So it means we only need to update it once to be able to change each of those subroutine calls. So let's have a look at putting a switch in. Now the first thing you'll notice when we go into the switch is that we've got a few settings here. Press and release, we've got the pin select, and we've got these true and false connectors. Let's have a look at the pin select for the moment, and to update that we need to be able to select RB1, and we can't select it at the moment. So let's go into the start tool, and we're actually going to the inputs and outputs, and we're going to select RB1 and click OK. Now when we go into the actual switch tool, it's still not going to update for us. What we need to do is we actually need to hook it in line with the start tool so that we can update that, and there it is. Nice and easy. So we can select RB1 and we can move that link line back to where it was. Let's also hook up from the start header to the end, and that's basically our subroutine done, except our switch tool says this tool requires multiple outlinks to be connected, and that means we've got a true and false, and they both need to be connected. So we can change those settings in the dialog here. If we put the false on the left and then the true on the bottom, that will work a bit better for us. And we're going to make this a blocking switch test. So if the switch isn't pressed, we just want it to retest, and we can loop that around. So it will just continue in a loop until it's pressed, and then it will come out the true connector. So let's program that, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so it's stopping on one of those, and we can press it, and it goes through. Now it's a bit finicky at the moment. It might go through a couple of different switches. There is a debounce in the switch tool, which makes it nice and easy to actually edit that to make it less sensitive. And to make it less sensitive, we actually add in a delay. So let's put in a 1 to 2 millisecond delay. This switch, it depends on how finicky the switch is. Some switches are more finicky than others, or more sensitive. So I'm going to make this 2 milliseconds, and I might annotate that one as well. And then we're going to hook that out of the false connector and then back in to the switch so that it's in a loop. So it's still a blocking switch tool, but it actually has a delay in between each of the samples, and we need 20 consecutive samples. That's how the switch debounce is set up, or filtering of the switch. And so now it's going to be 20 cycles at 2 milliseconds, and they all need to be true before it actually validates and goes out the true connector. So that should work a lot better for us, and you'll see that it's nowhere near as finicky, and I'm really pushing around on that. Still jumped through one, but it's doing pretty well there. So the last thing we can look at, like we did with the delay tool, we can go into the subroutine call and we can make it appear like a switch, because really that subroutine is calling the switch. So it helps us to be able to differentiate between our different subroutines if we create multiple subroutines. So it's just a nice little way of being able to graphically represent that and make it look a bit better. You might get better marks from your teacher for doing that. So yeah, there it is, the switch tool and how to put it in a subroutine.